this is the video you're looking for. And solely due to Donut Swan's comment on last week's video, I shaved my mustache. On Ask MandR 245 today, we'll be talking about how to display very expensive LEGO minifigures, LEGO collecting versus LEGO investing, and the upcoming LEGO subscription service, and more. Anyway, first question from Marcel says, what other LEGO Star Wars sets based off the Andor show do you want to see in the future? I would personally love to see LEGO release Luthen's ship with an updated version of Luthen and other minifigures. So that's definitely one of the more likely things that will happen, and one of the more requested things that I've seen from my comment sections, from what people want. Mostly, I just want a Luthen minifigure that doesn't look almost exactly like Tobias Beckett, to be honest. I also think that Imperial Jail that Cassian Andor was in would make a great kind of 18+ style display set for maybe 2023, maybe late 2023, who knows, but that type of thing. I saw a great mock of it online, and it looks like a fantastic concept for a set and something that LEGO certainly could actually do, be it something that would probably be like $100 or whatever, but it would still be cool to get, and we get some great figures from that one. Outside of that, I'm not terribly interested in too much else from this show in LEGO Star Wars form. I both think that there are plenty of things from other parts of Star Wars that LEGO should be doing anyway, but also like this show, while being fantastic, doesn't necessarily have a ton of stuff in it that like lends itself to becoming a toy. So I don't see a whole ton coming from Andor in the future, maybe 1 or 2 sets, but ideally at the very least Luthen's ship. Camden says, I agree that price per piece isn't always a good indicator of value because of the varying sizes of pieces. Why don't we use weight in price per ounce or pound? I think this would be a lot easier in comparing the value of sets. Well, the reason that most people don't use weight is because they don't know what it weighs just by looking at the box. That's why price per piece is something that is pretty ubiquitous in the LEGO space. It is why it will never go away, because it's that easy to get. You can find out how much something weighs by weighing it yourself or waiting for Bricklink to upload the weight, and then you can figure that out. On the flip side of that, you have weight, which is in grams, pounds, ounces, kilograms, tons, whatever it may be, is not a number that just transfers across all languages and all countries and units of, like it's a 1 unit of measurement versus many, and so that's why it's so easy. So I don't think weight will ever replace price per piece, even though it probably is in general a better indicator of value. I still think the ultimate way to test the value of a LEGO set in general is just the eye test. Does it look like it's worth it to you? Tip Top Break says, have you ever thought of replacing your current LEGO Clone Trooper helmets with other ones from third-party sources like Clone Army Customs? Look, LEGO's new Clone Trooper helmets suck. There's been a leak for the new 501st Specialist Trooper, and this one in particular will have a visor apparently, so it will look a little bit better than it does in this picture, but as we should know, LEGO is continuing to print very, very bad looking clone troopers. You can see on this particular one, it's very misaligned, and it's continuing. It's harder to tell here than it will be with maybe some other helmets in the set, but it looks like that same kind of gapping issue around the fin of that helmet is still present. So for example, if they were to redo the 501st helmet with that same normal 501st print, instead of it kind of hugging the fin, it would have these big gaps and things, much like the 212th helmet. So we are definitely going down a dark path as far as LEGO Clone Troopers go, and it's really unfortunate. We used to have it real good, apparently, which given the price increases, of course, is just the darndest thing, but let alone just common sense. Why are things getting worse at all? But to answer your original question, I am definitely interested in alternate helmets, because I would love to still be collecting LEGO Clone Troopers, because they're finally actually making some very cool Clone Troopers conceptually. The execution of them is more than questionable, terrible at times, especially with this 212th Trooper. Obviously, we've talked about that at length. But what I've been doing is we obviously have the 2014 212th Trooper, which had an excellent helmet design. And so I've been taking helmets from the 2014 one whenever I get them, because I've been doing so many Whatnot streams. I've been getting a lot of inventory in and kind of churning that out. And so when I get these, I take the helmets off, swap them out with the terrible helmets now, and then I'll sell the figure with the terrible helmet and then keep the nice helmet on the new figure, so I kind of have the new figure look but with an actual nice helmet. So that's something I've been doing. And then there's another guy that has been doing pad printed clones that look amazing, and then he's actually decaling helmets, and you can see these things look fantastic, very close to the real thing. And it's something that I'm actually possibly just going to go full on in and just collect those instead of whatever LEGO's putting out, because I think what LEGO's putting out is pretty utterly garbage at times, and so it shouldn't be supported. So like that's kind of my alternate methods. As far as CAC helmets helmets go, they make very nice helmets as well, and that is definitely a good option for a lot of people. I might find myself going down that path, but I want to explore some other routes that look more like what LEGO has done or is doing. But ultimately what CAC has is something that LEGO really should have looked at when redesigning the clone helmet, because what CAC has is very nice. I just don't understand why not go with something like that. You know, it's a very, very good looking helmet that they got, but yeah, ultimately, obviously they've gone down a pretty dark path here, and it's looking pretty bleak. Like, we're going to be getting cool clone troopers from here on out, it seems, but then they're just going to have major issues, and then you just end up with this massive split in the community of people that are like, oh yeah, that is obviously bad and wrong, and then people are like, why are you complaining? They're giving you what you want. And it's like, can two things not be true at once, right? Anyway, I will consider some alternate routes. You are onto something. Nicholas H says, have you seen the new bow piece in the Avatar sets? It would be a great fit for Amiga. I agree, although it seems to be that this bow piece is kind of used spottily. Like in one set, I definitely see it there, but there's stock images for another set where they don't use the new bow, so I'm not sure why that is. Like on the Chewbacca with his bowcaster, I feel like for the last 7 years, they've just been giving him the stud shooter one. So that type of thing. Anyway, this is certainly something that could make its way into Star Wars. It's a Disney property, and they will obviously cross pieces over between Disney properties. I can't imagine them not doing that. So yeah, if Omega comes in another set, she is a much smaller character than like the Avatar characters, right, with the short legs. So that's actually probably the biggest problem with that. But hey, maybe if we get a grown-up Omega. Brody Willard says, what is the best way to display an expensive minifigure? And this is something in the last year I have become acutely aware of. So much so that I have gone and bagged up figures now, just kind of waiting for a better way to display them, because previously I kind of had them on some displays where they could get dusty, like my Gold C-3PO, my Cloud City Boba Fett. Those figures have just become way too valuable. We're talking $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a figure, you know, in the time that they have been sitting on my shelf, versus when I originally put them in the display cases they were maybe worth, I don't know, the Boba Fett, certainly when I got it was worth like $200, and now it's worth like $2,000. It's absurd. So to kind of protect that, threw it in a bag for now. But what I've learned you don't want to do is put the minifigs actually on studs, because the heels on the back of the minifigs can crack, and of course that will devalue it to any potential purchaser in the future, and certainly potentially to yourself, importantly as well, because you don't want to have damaged goods of your own, and so you don't want to place it on studs. But there are these Lego tile pieces that can hold up minifigures pretty well. It has like the little insert that would fit right between the legs, and you can place it onto that piece. I think that's the optimal way to stand the minifigure up, and then you're of course going to want to put it in some sort of dust-free case, be it a small case that just fits a single figure, or a case that fits 50 or 100 figures, however many figures you want in there. Just make sure it's completely dust-free, completely sealed off from the outside world, so that you don't have to worry about dust getting in there and somehow damaging your expensive Lego minifigure. Volt9 says, do you think Lego will ever make a set for the droid attack on the Wookiees? And this is a huge issue that Lego has really suppressed over the years. But I'm gonna break the story for you here today. In 2005, Lego made a set called Wookiee Attack. And obviously, if you watch Star Wars Episode 3, the Wookiees aren't attacking anyone. In fact, the droids are the ones doing the attacking. So the question becomes, why would Lego frame the Wookiees for the attack when it was the droids all along? Look, I certainly don't have the answer, but there is something fishy going on here, and maybe I need to get LegoConspiracies.com online. D. Glaze says, what is your take regarding current sets on eBay, and I suppose other marketplaces, sold below retail value even if they are legitimate sets and not knockoffs? Bought the UCS AT-AT for $780 after tax and shipping, and it is actually Lego. Do you know any reason or reasons why that might be? I've seen a lot recently on eBay and such, so $780 is not that crazy. Like, I feel like you're really overreacting to that in particular. But I have been noticing this sort of thing, and there are a few different reasons that something would be sold for less than the retail price. One, the person works for Lego, and if you work for Lego, you get a 50% discount. You know, let's say they buy that set, and then right after they quit Lego, they can sell Lego, of course. And so they take the set that they bought for $400, put it up on eBay for $750, and obviously they're making a profit no matter what at that point, even though, you know, they just want to sell it. That's the point. They price it under what everyone else is selling it for because they just want it gone. And that is a perfectly legitimate reason something could be cheaper than you would probably see elsewhere. Also, because you mentioned being worried about it being a knockoff, if a set is a picture of a physical Lego box, I have yet to see a real Lego box be a knockoff like that. Like if you are on eBay or somewhere and you're looking at a box and it says Lego and Star Wars and it's the real, it looks like the real thing, it's the real thing. Unless it's a straight up scam and then you're getting nothing, and obviously, you know, it's a new seller probably, and you can probably spot the reasons it would be a scam. Another great reason that things might be sold below retail value, of course, is that they are stolen. And that is an undeniable truth. You just might be buying stolen goods if it's good cheap Lego or good cheap whatever it might be. You know, but I think, look, my take on it is, it's impossible to know whether or not something, when you buy it, is stolen. Just because it's a good price doesn't mean it's stolen. Just because it's a good price doesn't mean any number of things, right? It's hard to know why something is cheap. But as someone buying things online, you and I, like, we can't tell the difference on any individual eBay listing or whatever. It's not like we can look at it and it just says stolen on it versus like, I got this for a good price, so I'm selling it for a little bit less so it'll sell faster. It's impossible. You can never know. So if that's something you worry about, only buy things for retail at retail stores and you don't have to worry about it. Otherwise, if you're online, there's always that chance, and it's like, there's nothing you can really do about it. But ultimately, what I wanted to tie into this is the set I've been seeing the most recently for significantly below retail value online. And there's a couple reasons I would maybe guess that this is, right? So this is, of course, the Justifier, 170 bucks in the US. And so this will kind of rope in our third reason as to how something could be so cheap on eBay when it costs so much in the store. Or of course, it could have been something like a gift, either a gift they didn't want or a gift that's a duplicate. And now you have a second Justifier and you just want to get rid of it, and they sell it for less than retail price because they just don't care what they get for it. They just want to get some money and go buy something else with the gift money, essentially. And so that's another reason that, and that can drive prices down, because obviously the Justifier is a set that nobody really wants at that $170 price tag to begin with. You know, there's a lot of flack that Lego has taken for that price, justified or not. And so on the secondary market, people aren't going to be willing to pay $170 anyway because they already don't want to pay it at retail, so it starts to drive that price down. And so that's another reason that the Justifier has become so cheap. But I'm looking on eBay right now, sealed in the box Justifier, free shipping, $117, $118, $120, and there's plenty of them at those low prices, whether it be that they're stolen, gifted, being sold, something they got as part of a deal, so they're selling it as part of their profit for the whole deal. I don't know, man. It's impossible to know, but it's definitely a thing. I see your point. I know I was a little rambly with this one, but I had a lot of things I kind of wanted to cover with it. Hope you liked it. Gunner says, now that the Eiffel Tower has been revealed, do you think LEGO will do something similar with the Jedi Temple? Absolutely not. It's not happening. They're not making an $800 Jedi Temple, whatever. They're not making a 5-foot tall Jedi Temple. The best thing they haven't done a Jedi Temple. It's been 20 years. It's not happening. It's just not happening. I don't know how else to break it to you, man. They're not going to do it. You know, architecture-ish style Jedi Temple, maybe one day, like the size of the pyramid architecture set. I don't know, man. Like, I wouldn't mind like a halvesies Lego Jedi Temple set, but then they make it so that you can buy two and combine them, and it makes sense and it works and it looks like the actual Jedi Temple. That would actually be a really sick concept and way to do it, because that way people that want the kind of half display and then put it up against their wall can have that, and the people that also want to spend that extra, like, I don't know if you called it a $200 set, but now you make it a $400 set by buying two, that works too. Like, great concept there. But yeah, dude, Jedi Temple's just, man, I'm like, maybe one day, but probably not. So I don't really have a most expensive thing off the top of my head, but I do have a very recent item that I purchased and immediately regretted once I received it. So obviously I did a huge whatnot stream, and so in searching for items to be able to sell, I was on eBay looking for newly listed items, and I happened upon a potentially great deal for $160 all in. It was a LEGO Star Wars Jango Fett Phase 1 Clone Commander Sergeant Trooper lot of 11, end quote. So I saw this lot and I looked at the pictures, and I saw that the Jango Fett looked like he had the angry face for Jango Fett. And so I go on Bricklink and I look up the price of the angry face Jango Fett, because I know it's the more expensive one, but I just don't know the price of every figure at all times. I look it up, and the cheapest in the US right now is $180. And of course, this lot being sold for $160. Well, all of a sudden it just makes sense. It's like, what a great deal. Like, the one figure alone is worth more than what I'm paying for the whole thing. So I immediately press buy it now, buy the item. 5 days later, whatever, I get the item, open my package, and oh, it was painful. So first thing I notice is that Jango Fett is cracked. And then I notice a lot of the clone troopers are cracked or dirty and yellowed, and it just don't look so good, you know? I'm like, oh no, I have made a grave mistake. But then I'm like, well, it's still the angry Jango Fett head, and I have a couple other Jango Fetts with the smiley face that I was going to sell on the Whatnot stream over the weekend. And so I was like, I could just put the angry face on the other one, because the rest of the, you know, Jango Fett is the same other than the face, which is what makes it expensive, which is stupid, but that's collector's markets for you, I guess. And so then I pull the helmet off, I look at the face underneath, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, that looks like the Clone Trooper angry face, not like the Jango Fett angry face. And I hadn't looked at the Jango Fett angry face in a while, and so then I look at the Jango Fett angry face in detail, and I realize he has a beard, and this figure that I have doesn't have a beard. And so yeah, I really screwed myself on that one. I go back to the eBay listing now and I look at the description. It's like, yeah, these figures have cracks and they're damaged. Jango Fett has the wrong face. And I'm like, wow, if only I read anything and didn't jump the gun. So you win some, you lose some, I guess, at the end of the day. But this was a big L for me. This is a huge regret of a purchase because I just ended up throwing most of this in the cup of shame that I sell on my stream, which is just damaged figures, essentially. People love it, but just big L for me there. Pablo the First says, do you have any tips for beginner LEGO Star Wars collectors and how I could make a profit on the purchases I make? And here we get to talk about collecting versus investing. And I gotta ask you, are you a beginner LEGO Star Wars collector or a beginner LEGO Star Wars investor? The latter of which I have a little bit less expertise in, but certainly from like everything that I do, like I kind of pick it up. But I think the biggest tip first and foremost that will help you in both your collecting aspirations and making a profit aspirations, never pay full price for anything. You don't have to. Unlike me, I usually pay way more than full price for every LEGO set you see me review, like because I'll buy it early and I'll pay double, or I'll pay for one-day shipping that costs me $90. There are stupid things that I do. But when it comes to like general consumers, like you can totally wait 2 months, a month, 3 months, 5 months, a year. Like if you're in no rush to pick up a LEGO set, instead of paying $850 for the Millennium Falcon on Black Friday, maybe Zavi has it for $650. I go on Instagram and say, hey, Zavi has it for $650, and you get a great deal on the UCS Millennium Falcon instead of spending $200 more. And then later down the road, if you want to go sell it, you have $200 more room or margin for potential profit, right? So that goes a long way as far as guaranteeing yourself a profit that's impossible. You never know. Things could just all go to zero and everything could become worthless overnight. You know, just whatever can happen. But you can do things like never paying full price for something to protect yourself. You know, use your credit card rewards. If you're buying from Kohl's, make sure you use your Kohl's cash. Use Rakuten, who's sponsored a few videos. They'll give you cash back on a lot of online purchases and even some in-store purchases. Like there are a lot of great ways to save pennies here and there, and it really does add up. And as far as the actual collecting aspect goes, collect things that you like, because I think that if 5 years down the line you want to go sell it, but maybe it's not worth a whole ton or as much as you had hoped, and so you're not going to sell it yet, at least it's still something that you like and enjoy having in your collection, versus if you're buying sets solely for the purpose of investing, which can be a good lucrative thing. You can make a ton of money if you do it right. But if it turns out to be a flop, well, then all of a sudden it's like, well, now I have all of these things that both lost me money and I don't like them. Double loss. Tyler Sato says, what happened to the LEGO subscription service? It was supposed to allow people to buy selected retired sets. So apparently it's still coming, because very recently LEGO put out a poll asking what it should be called, because with all of their money and employees that they pay a lot of money to, they couldn't figure out what to call something for you to give them more money. They provided 10 different names for their potential subscription service for the survey that they put out, and we're gonna rate them all on a scale of 1 to 10. LEGO Central for a LEGO subscription service. I'm gonna go with a 5 out of 10 on that one. LEGO Noggle, considering it's a word that I don't know. 0 out of 10. LEGO Imagination. 3 out of 10. It's pretty bad. LEGO Click. Is that the movie? 2 out of 10. LEGO Play. I don't understand how this name has anything to do with a subscription service at all. I guess it would help a lot to know exactly what the subscription service does, but given what we know and like access to retired sets, like LEGO Play doesn't really feel like that. It feels like more of a collector thing if they're giving you access to retired sets. So LEGO Play, just because Play doesn't feel like it fits into giving more money, 1 out of 10. LEGO Together. These are getting worse. LEGO Limitless I actually kind of like, and so I would go with like a 8 out of 10 on that name. LEGO Unlimited isn't too bad either, although Unlimited makes it probably sound better than it will be. Let me know in the comments below what you think a LEGO subscription service should be called. Mr. Milk wants to buy an expensive minifigure or set, preferably sealed, with a budget of $1,200, so we get to spend other people's money today. You gotta buy the UCS Imperial Shuttle sealed in the box, bro. You gotta do it. That's my advice. Take it or leave it. But UCS Imperial Shuttle sealed in the box. It's beautiful. Ugly Turtle wants to know my thoughts on Andor given the season finale comes out tomorrow. Andor has been a fantastic change-up of things for Star Wars in general. It's just a completely different vibe and pace than The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. Like, I just really enjoyed it. It feels very real, very gritty at times, and I love all the different sublines. My favorite character, whose name I have some trouble pronouncing, is Cyril, or Cyril, I don't know. I really like him. I think he's a great character. I do wish they had used him a little bit more throughout the latter half of the season. I feel like he's just been kind of thrown in for a few seconds at a time, but I love him. Really hope he doesn't die, I guess, in the finale, and really look forward to seeing more of him in season 2 because I just think he's a cool character. But it's been a fun show. I think a lot of people have been enjoying it, but I've also had people tell me, you know, it's been really tough to get into. Like my grandpa, who really loved The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett or whatever, he's like, yeah, I fell asleep in the second episode and I didn't really watch any more of it. I'm like, I get it. Yeah, it's a little bit of a slow one to start, so that's a bit of a downside to it, but for people that get into it, I think it's fantastic. Finally, Bubby wants to know, have you played the new Call of Duty, and if so, what do you think of it so far? Yeah, Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 kind of suck, and I miss Rebirth Island from Warzone 1, and because Warzone 2 sucks and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 sucks, basically, okay, I should explain myself a little bit for COD fans there at least. They basically took all of the good movement and made it worse, and for someone like me that likes to move a little bit, because I have a scuff and it's like I want to use all these buttons I got, I don't know, running really slow and then sliding really slow and then aiming down sight really slow when I jump. Everything is slower and worse than the last game, and I don't like that at all. Maybe I'll come around on it, but for the time being, I'm not enjoying it. I really hated Warzone 1 when it came out as well, so for what that's worth, you know, maybe in 2 months my answer is different, but yeah, didn't have fun the first couple times I played it, so over the next month I probably won't play it a whole lot, if at all, and just make videos instead. So that is it for this one. If you guys enjoyed, hit the like button, if you channel, subscribe, and let me know in the comments below if you have a question for next week's episode. Peace out.